Have you ever seen this pattern in your life? You really wanted something, a relationship, a promotion, a fitness habit, whatever, and you wanted it so bad and you tried so hard, but finally you were just like, I'm gonna give up chasing. Maybe you said something to yourself like, if it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Only to turn around like a year later and be like, hold on, I got exactly what I wanted, but I only got it after I gave up. That is the power of surrender. In this podcast, I want to dive into the science of surrender, why it works, and how to lean into it when you need it. And I want to be so clear, this is not a particularly woo podcast episode. I think you hear the word surrender and you think law of attraction, spirituality. There's a place for that when it comes to surrender, but that isn't what this podcast episode is going to be focused on. To be clear, surrender is not giving up. It is not this passive, like, okay, I guess this is what it is. It's definitely not helplessness. That's not the kind of surrender we're talking about here anyways. Surrender is letting go of control, letting go of fear, and letting go of worry. Welcome to Grow With Intention, the podcast for people who want to create a life that feels good. So let's talk about problems that solve themselves, because that is part of surrender. Everyone has had a problem where out of the blue, your mind has just served you up the perfect solution or nudged you in the perfect direction to solve that problem. Maybe you were just having a shower and you got served up the solution, or maybe you were watching a video like this one and all of a sudden something in your head just clicked and you were like, oh, I get it. Those solutions are always served up when your brain feels calm, when your brain feels pretty secure and at ease. They are rarely served up when you feel particularly insecure or stressed. And when you are trying really hard to control any kind of outcome in your life, whether that is you wanting to obtain a relationship or you wanting a certain amount of income or you wanting to really push a habit and being frustrated with yourself that it's not clicking, it's not working, that is a form of insecurity. It's a form of stress. And there's something about when you are particularly insecure or stressed about a goal that blocks you from having helpful thoughts about how to attain that goal. And I'm not just saying that. There is science behind why your brain would block these helpful thoughts. So the first part of this puzzle is the amygdala. She's shaped like an almond. She's buried deep in your brain. She processes all of your emotions. And she's definitely not all bad, but she will light up like a Christmas tree when you are scared, when you are stressed, and when you are insecure. And then she'll send some signals over to the PCC, the posterior cingulate cortex. Any thinking about why you're feeling the way you're feeling, what's happening in your life, that all happens in the PCC. It's your self-focused thinking center. And when the PCC is super lit up, you are ruminating about your life. Those rumination thoughts are kind of like the most obnoxious, worst people that you will ever meet. They're loud and they don't want you to give your attention to anything else. They aren't helpful, they're not deliberate, they are not gently providing you with thoughtful solutions or nudging you towards helpful action. Those loud, obnoxious thoughts take up all of this space. They use all of your resources. Because of that, the more reasonable, thoughtful thoughts can't actually make their way into your brain. There's no room for them. Your PCC gets so active with these low quality, unhelpful thoughts that it blocks the flow of helpful problem-solving thoughts. So bringing it back to surrender, if you have some kind of goal that you've been striving for and for some reason it's just not working out for you, you've probably reached a place where your PCC has been lit up when it comes to that goal. And surrender is effective because it's been shown to diminish the activity in the PCC. Surrender is letting go of control, letting go of fear, and letting go of worry. It's letting go of pushing for a specific outcome. It is quieting down the PCC part of your brain so that those loud, obnoxious thoughts can exit for a little while in order for your more helpful, gentle, nudging thoughts can appear that are actually going to help you out, that are problem-solving focused, but not chaotic, you need to do something about this, problem-solving focused. So the user Temple Diet, I'm sorry I don't know your actual name, commented on my last video and they shared this analogy that I thought would be really helpful for this video. So think of your brain as having a river or rivers of thought. These thoughts are always flowing through your brain like a river is always flowing. You don't pick the thoughts that this river carries to you. They just flow on in. Fresh new thoughts are always arriving through this river. But sometimes rocks or logs can appear. These are sticky thoughts, and they probably come when your PCC is activated. When you focus all of your attention on these sticky thoughts, they kind of create more sticky thoughts. Eventually, a dam builds up, and that dam blocks fresh, helpful, new thoughts from flowing through. Surrender gives you the ability to not focus on those sticky thoughts so that the river can continue flowing. It's this calm feeling of certainty and trust that the river will eventually carry in helpful new thoughts that will nudge you in the right direction, or new thoughts that change how you think about whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life. Whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, I worry that I'm getting too woo, but I swear there's something to this. So how can you actually take action on what I'm saying? How can you surrender? I have actually talked about this in my podcast episode on desperate energy, which I'll have linked in the show notes or the description if you're on YouTube. This podcast episode is very heavily related to that episode, but let's talk about step number 1 that I did share in that episode. So firstly, you need to step out of your thoughts. Any PCC thoughts, you got to be able to step out of them because you can't surrender when you're in those thoughts. To step out of thoughts, you can label them. So you can just say to yourself, oh man, my PCC is lit up right now. That's a PCC thought. That's a ruminative thought. You just need to create some distance between you and these thoughts. Then, secondly, you want to make what Anna Lemke calls the fundamental spiritual pivot. If you're not spiritual, that's fine. You just need to be able to believe in something bigger, smarter, wiser than yourself, which really isn't that hard to do. Even if what you believe in is your subconscious and your subconscious's ability to serve you up good and helpful solutions, I think that is enough. You can believe in the river of thought. But if you are religious, that obviously works too. If you believe in the universe, go with that. So I do this with a kind of prayer. I kind of admit defeat and I'm like, yeah, I can't control what's happening in my life. I'm giving this to you. You being my subconscious, the universe, I'm not really sure. I usually will ask for guidance. I'll ask for fresh, helpful thoughts to be served up. And that is how I take action on surrender. In every episode, I end with Rex of the Week. For those of you who want to dive deeper into the topic I talked about in today's episode, my first recommendation is gonna be Master of Change by Brad Stulberg. This is where I read about the brain science behind surrender. I definitely took my own creative liberties. Hopefully I didn't muck anything up. This is one of those books where I read it and I was like, did I write this? Who is this Brad figure? My second recommendation is gonna be another podcast episode, which is my Desperate Energy podcast episode that I've already talked about. This is just like a reframe of what I've talked about in this podcast episode. I find like different ways of presenting the same information can resonate with different people. You might really resonate with the Desperate Energy episode, but you might also really resonate with this one. And my last recommendation has to be the surrender session on the Intention app that I created based off everything that I've learned about surrender. It's very much a guided approach to surrender. I think it has a little worksheet too, but mainly guided exercises that you can do, like a little meditation, a visualization exercise. I also do have a standalone meditation and affirmation surrender track that is going to be popped up on Intention in the next week. So if you join the premium subscription now, you'll see that come up within the next week. I appreciate you so much and I'll see you soon.